You're listening to the Hawgs Sports Network Daily Podcast. Now, here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hey, good morning. If you're watching us on our Whole Hog Sports Facebook, Twitter, YouTube pages, we appreciate you being here. Thank you. With Ethan Westerman at our downtown Fayetteville studio to talk more about Razorback football. Obviously, we're 22 days away from the start of fall camp. We're in fall camp. We're 22 days away from the start of the season against Arkansas Pine Bluff down at War Memorial Stadium. We're a week into fall camp, and today it actually kind of felt like fall outside at Razorback Stadium. The Razorbacks go through their seventh practice of the preseason. Seventh practice of the preseason. We're a week into it. Ethan, I guess other than maybe who was missing, the weather was a little bit of the story this morning.
Yeah, really nice this morning. After you go the first 3 or 4 days, we were going at 5 p.m. and blistering heat. It already was nice the past few days. We started this week at 9 a.m., but even then the first few days of this week, I feel like it was like kind of low 80s, mid 80s.
Mm-hmm.
This morning it was a cool like 73, so it felt amazing out there.
Fall camp, it just rolls off the tongue. That's just what we've always called it, but I've never understood why we call it fall camp, because aside from a day here and there like we had today, it never feels like fall.
It plays games with my brain, honestly, that we're calling it fall camp.
We're halfway through the summer.
Yeah, exactly. But they have a scrimmage tomorrow, and if they can get weather like this again tomorrow morning, I'm sure that the players will not be complaining.
I think they play 4 games before the summer ends.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting how that works. We know a little bit about why some players have been missing the last few days. Tell us about them.
Yeah, well, we don't know exact reasons, but we did get some clarity that, there's a handful of players that have missed some time with what aren't considered long-term problems. We don't know what's injury. We don't know what might just be. There's all these factors that could play in every single time that somebody misses. So it's never good to just assume that somebody's hurt. But there's been a lot of rotation this week just with guys either being absent or being limited, or some guys, it is a little easier to tell that they're probably dealing with an injury because they've been walking, like Anton Junkaj. I think I just said his name correct. He's been, walking in just kind of like t-shirt and shorts around the perimeter the past few days.
Observing.
So you assume that one's probably, some light injury. It doesn't seem major. But then these other guys that have been missing, you just don't know. But kind of just to update a little bit on that situation, today Andrew Armstrong was absent from practice. At least we didn't see him. He might, if he was there, he was probably getting worked on or something somewhere. We didn't see him. Tyrone Broden dressed out, was limited. Jaquindon Jackson, he missed yesterday. He was absent, but he was back today, dressed out, limited. Keon Stewart, I saw him participating in drills today. Rashad DeBinion, he was dressed out but limited as well. So there's just a lot of rotation. Keyshawn Blackstock, the tackle, he was back today.
Okay.
So he missed yesterday. We don't know what's going on there, but still no Patrick Kudus. And Marquise Robinson was also not practicing.
And we think Armstrong, from what we've been told, it's not serious with him.
Yeah, we don't think so. I mean, we don't really know exactly yet. It looked like in practice yesterday he got dinged up a little bit on a play, and so I witnessed him just after getting dinged up, like he went with the trainer and was just walking around with them. It didn't appear to me to be anything that overly concerned about as far as the injury front, but you never know. He wasn't there today though, so something to monitor for sure. But from what we've been told, none of these people that are missing it's any long-term problems.
Thoughts from practice?
Yeah. Honestly, I think that the past few days have just like, the thought has just been like, because of all these guys gone, just seeing how they're kind of filling those holes, and maybe guys stepping in. Like today, Rodney Hill, the Florida State transfer running back, he went with the first team in this fastball start. And just to clarify, this fastball start period that they do is not. It's
not a hard and fast depth chart.
Exactly. It can change by the day. Sometimes they're just experimenting things out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're, like yesterday, Blake Boda went with the third string quarterbacks, but it's KJ Jackson is. It's not like he lost his spot or something. I think they just want to get guys reps. Mm-hmm. So, but it still is nice to like. It gives you a little bit of a look. It's as close as we normally get to like a game like situation. So today, some of the notable things from that was just seeing Rodney Hill go with the ones. CJ Brown went with the ones again, the freshman from Bentonville. Um, what else happened? With the offensive line, just how they kept on. They kept the same group that went yesterday, without Blackstock and Kudus in the mix. Joe Moore was the right tackle. Amari Wiggins stayed at center, and Addison Nichols, the Tennessee transfer, who he's probably going to be the starting center this year. He played left guard, so they just keep shuffling things out, especially now that they're dealing with some players just having to miss some time.
Sam Pittman was always like this. He wanted to, what he calls two spot his offensive lineman, and it really accelerated after the COVID season when you didn't know who you're going to have from week to week. What he wants, and I've heard him say this for 10 or more years, going back to when he was an assistant coach, he wants 8 linemen kind of established by the time they're 2 weeks away from the start of the season. Who are the 8 linemen that we can count on? And so in that, you need to have players who are ready to go from this position to that position. You got to be ready for kind of all scenarios, so to speak, so that if this guy goes down, this is what our 5 is going to look like on the next play.
Yeah, and I think that they're probably getting closer to having those. You got your 5 that probably have the inside track to starting with Keyshawn Blackstock, Fernando Carmona, Addison Nichols, Josh Braun, Patrick Kudus. At full health, that's who they trotted out with the first team every single time in the spring. But then you have others that like Tykeist Crawford. I think Sam's been high on him for like 3 years now. It's just like he's on the right on the cusp. I think this could be a year that you see him more. Amarian Harris, think of him. Think of Joe Moore, the Syracuse transfer. There's these guys that you can see that they're tinkering around with getting him in there. Amari Wiggins, he's been going with the first team at center. So I think they're close to having maybe that group of linemen that he feels like can move around and are there if he needs them.
We're going to hear from Sam Pittman tomorrow after the Razorbacks go through their first preseason scrimmage. Hopefully at that point we'll get a little bit more clarification on what's going on with a Patrick Kudus, who has missed several days of practice. Yesterday was about wide receivers. Talked to Ronnie Fouch, talked to some of the receivers on the team. What did you learn, and kind of what does that group look like right now?
Yeah, it's been very clear throughout the spring and in fall. I know some people are like kind of shocked to hear how it's so clear that they're their top receivers are Armstrong and Tyrone Broden. The Armstrong doesn't surprise most people. He led them in receiving yards last year. He showed he just had a really nice season for your first year coming from Texas A&M Commerce. He made a splash kind of in the SEC, so that wasn't surprising. But people hear Tyrone Broden as being like the clear, one of the top receivers. I know he didn't have like the best season from a production standpoint last year, but it's just been like in the spring obvious that he is one of the guys that like has made the biggest strides. I just think last year in practice around this time, it kind of seemed like he was hesitant. I know making the transition, he came from Bowling Green, and maybe the transition to a new program, he was learning the Dan Enos offense. It just seemed like maybe things were too mental for him, which I think that's pretty common with guys whenever they're, coming into a new program, especially if they come from a smaller school. It just feels to me like he has gotten so much more confidence. It doesn't feel to me like he's thinking as much out there. He's just kind of playing, and I think it's probably a credit to just this new offense that they have, and that he's in a role that he feels comfortable. He understands it seems, and he's a freak athlete. He's 6'7", can jump high. He on the first day, like the the very first period that we watched, he hauled in what is probably going to be the best catch of the whole preseason. One-handed grab. He's just really athletic. So those two stand out right away.
And we are back. We had a computer crash here at the office. Sorry about that. So we were talking about wide receivers and Satania, and Petrino, when he was here the first time, he had this line: "Feed the studs," and that's what we expect. We think Satania is kind of fits that category of a stud with the the type of the catch potential that he has. That I've seen from him for years, watching him over at Fayetteville High, and then obviously the speed. They're going to find ways to get him the ball.
Yeah. While we were dealing with our technical difficulty, I don't know how long I was talking about Satania, but I was definitely, bragging about how good he's looked in practice. he's been one of the guys that just has been consistent. And that's what stands out to me. I mean, there's only so much you can take from these preseason practices. They're going through a lot of times drills, or like it's not always the scrimmages are the closest that they'll get to like real concrete, like this is what they can do in a game. But what I look for in these practices we go to now with the drills they're going through is just who is consistent, like who doesn't have a bad day. And Satania is one that comes to mind. It's just I've not seen him have a bad day of practice yet. He's so fast. He gives every D back like a lot, like fits every single time they go through the one on ones. It just feels like you almost feel bad for whoever's about to go against him because they know that one plant of the foot he can juke you out and just get so much separation with that.
One of the things when you go live, you never know what's going to happen. We're having some technical issues here at the office this morning. So we've talked about wide receivers. Sam Pittman's going to talk tomorrow. What are you going to hear from him?
Really want to hear how the quarterbacks perform, first of all, in tomorrow's scrimmage. Taylon Green, he hasn't thrown the ball, I think, as well as he'd like to in practice. It's not been bad per se. It's just not been what we in the spring game. I think people saw what he could be. He was really precise. He had several good drives, to start that game. So I want to hear how the quarterbacks do. Would like to hear how the kicker situation is going. One of the biggest things that they weigh whenever they're determining who they want to be their kicker is how they perform in the stadium and with a little bit of pressure. So tomorrow is going to be kind of the first chance, I think, for maybe one of those guys to get the inside edge. Excited to hear about that. I'd like to hear injury updates. That's if not injury, issue updates. We don't know what's going on with a lot of these guys missing. So that's actually probably number one. But more than anything, really just want to hear how he thinks that they're progressed with kind of like their install, especially with offense, because everybody's all excited about Bobby Petrino's here, going to have a great offense, or if not great, improved. But I'd like to hear, if that's translating to a scrimmage, because I actually think the defense could be pretty good. I think they were good last year with Travis Williams, and just kind of the last few weeks of the year maybe threw in the towel a little bit whenever you had an offense that could barely score the ball. So I think that if we hear that the offense is doing well in these scrimmages, I'm not sure I'll be as concerned about the defense. I think it's just more of an encouraging note on the offense if you hear that.
You can read all of Ethan's reports, by the way, at wholehogsports.com. Latest breaking news on all Razorback sports there. We're biased, but we think it's the most in-depth source for Razorback sports. We've got an award-winning team of reporters, photographers, analysis, the latest in recruiting from Richard Davenport, unique stories on all your favorite teams. We've had stories just in the last day on baseball, on Mike Anderson's daughter playing in the Olympics. Anthony Christensen wrote about soccer a couple of times already this week. So if you want to read about all the Razorback sports, not just football and basketball, come over to wholehogsports.com today, and we'll hope you'll subscribe. Ethan, before we get out of here, it's interesting that as we're talking about all these players who are out, a report comes out from CBS Sports yesterday that says the FCC is nearing a mandatory injury report that could be enforced this year. That's very interesting to me. Gambling is I think the main component behind this. What I think from the league and the team perspectives, they want to protect the players and the team personnel from being approached from shady individuals who are trying to get information to get an inside edge in the gambling world. But from a reporting standpoint, it helps us. It allows us to say, hey, instead of the quarterback missed today, the quarterback and the coach didn't say why. It's he missed today because he had an ankle injury, and it's not considered to be very serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think that as you in this day and age, as NIL and the fan is being targeted for more and more financially, they deserve to have answers as to what's going on with their team, not be left in the dark all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you said, gambling, I think that's the number one driving factor that that's such a big moneymaker that if, it totally changes the complexion of a team if you don't know this guy's going to be out and he is. So yeah, that comes to mind right away. But I do think it's one of those things that just kind of helps with so much of the game is trying to model, professional and how they do things. It's a step closer to to that type of, these players are making money with NIL now. It just kind of feels like it's one of those type of things that it's maybe overdue, just with the changing landscape of just how big of a moneymaker college football is. It will help us. It'll be very nice to know, what exactly players are dealing with if this does come into effect before the start of the season.
And that's not finalized, by the way. I think there's still another hurdle or two to clear before, there's some some finality to that being in place for the 24th season. It's interesting, in the CBS Sports story, Sam Pittman was quoted and said that he's in favor of this. He said if it keeps people from, basically badgering the athletes, he's all for it. LSU, Florida, I think last year they did this voluntarily. They had kind of their own NFL style injury reports that they gave out voluntarily each season. They didn't have to. So they're kind of trendsetters. Obviously didn't hurt LSU last year. Maybe that's the problem with Florida. I don't know. But we'll get Colby Hale on, the Arkansas soccer coach, in just a moment. Be back after this word from Kendall King.
At Kindle King, we're proud of over 4 decades of design. We're continuing the legacy of great creative design by combining our brands of Kindle King, Soapbox, and Shopcart. Together, these brands represent a new focus in marketing design, with individual attention to specific areas. Through our design expertise supported by a team of talented professionals, we showcase our best. We are Kindle King, we are Soapbox, we are Shopcart, we are design.
And we appreciate you being with us this morning. Hey, I want to tell you real quick about Hawgs Illustrated. You can see our latest issue right here that I'm holding. It's our Olympic special that we did within the past few weeks. Tells you about all the Razorbacks over in Paris. It's been a great week or week and a half for the Razorbacks, especially over the last few days. By my count, Arkansas has got 3 track athletes or former athletes who have medaled in the Paris Olympics. They've also got a couple of volunteer coaches who have medaled this week. Ryan Krauser, the gold medal shot put volunteer coach for Arkansas, also Shamir Little, a volunteer coach. Still a lot to go on in Paris. Possible medals still in store for the Razorbacks. You got Wayne Pinnock, who won a silver medal in the long jump yesterday, became the first Razorback ever to medal in that event. You can read all about it in Hawgs Illustrated. We've also got our football preview that you can see over my shoulder that's got a lot of great content on Razorback football. We cover every sport. 20 issues a year. We've got a football preview, a basketball preview, a baseball preview, a recruiting issue. And then we're kind of getting into the meat of what we do. We do a weekly issue during football season. Complete access to all of our content at wholehogsports.com comes with that. Of course, we got breaking news, commentaries, analysis, features, recruiting. Monthly subscription begins at $17. You can join us at hogsillustrated.com/subscribe or call 479-684-5509 to get your front row seat on our website. Colby Hale is the Arkansas soccer coach, and he joins us now. Coach, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Hey, we appreciate you being here. Anthony Christensen is in the studio with me. Anthony is our soccer guru, so to speak. So, Coach, you beat KU in an exhibition game over the weekend, 5-1. What'd you learn about your team?
Match 1, we played everybody. We played all 3 keepers. I don't think anyone really played over 45 minutes. It's mostly to kind of get where are we at match fitness wise. So run of play stuff. We didn't do too much run of play. Mostly it was like boxes, some sets. I didn't think we were very good run of play. I didn't think, we were trying to find the weak side against KU. They shift way over. Didn't think we did a very good job of that. Our wide service was good. Our runs in the box were good. Some of the things we worked on were good. But, we have a unique situation where we play a match against an outside opponent after 3 or 4 training sessions. So, I heard a great quote that I really liked. He said, I can make my team good at anything. I can't make them good at everything. Well, that's magnified after 4 days of training, right? You're not going to be good at everything. So we had to kind of prioritize, hey, what are we trying to get out of this? And I thought the things we were trying to, we did, right? And so we watched some video, we did some set piece review, trained yesterday, had a day off, trained yesterday. And I think we're going to, taper a little bit to be ready for a good Kansas State team.
You lose Anna Potagil, B. Franklin, some other players have been so good for you on these championship teams for the last few years. But the coaches, they like your team. You're ranked 16th by coaches yesterday. What have you done to how did you build this team?
It's a combination of a lot of things, right? I mean, we redshirt some kids and develop them. We do well in the transfer portal. We recruit some good freshmen to come in and add some energy. And then we make the kids we have on our roster better. And that's kind of the thing. I was always joking. I don't know that we've had a top 25 class since I've been here, but we're getting the right kids and making them better. We have a system that gets the best out of those players. We're not looking for like the high maintenance star that wants the whole world to revolve around them. I mean, you guys are doing a thing on Tankersley right now. We've had a long line of our best players, our star players, being really selfless people. And when your best player is also your hardest worker, your most committed, and your best person, it sets the tone for the whole culture. And so that's what we're going for, and I think that's what we're getting. We're pretty excited. We've lost as much or more than anyone in the country. I would argue we've returned as much or more than anyone in the country. I mean, you lose Morgan White, Ellie Potagill, and the key, like all those players. We have 10 seniors. Most of them, if not all of them, will play a role. And so we're pretty excited. It's a pretty hungry team too.
Yeah, we've talked about the newcomers. Obviously, bring in Ella Rogers from Xavier. Kelsey Euler from Gonzaga, players like that, Anaya Robinson coming in as a freshman. Can you just talk about how they've kind of gelled with the team and how you've, I guess, seen the team kind of come together over the last, over the spring and throughout the fall?
Well, how we recruit is a very specific way. We kind of joke with them. We're not recruiting, we're weeding out. We're looking for people who fit what we're looking for. And so it's not like we're not telling Kelsey Euler was an All-American. She led the country in assists. She was probably the best left back in the country on a team that was pretty good. We didn't call her and tell her how awesome she was. We told her, hey, listen, you've had a pretty good college career so far. Here's how we're going to push you and make you better. And, that may be not playing 90 minutes of every second. Like, you're going to have to come here and you're going to have to earn it. She had everyone in the country wanted her. But I think she believed in our ability to manage her time, to make sure she was healthy at the end of the season, but also put her in spots and challenge her. She played in the 4-back, which we will become. She's going to play some outside back in a 3-back. She's going to play some outside mid, which are both positions she's good at but hasn't done before. And we just said, like, hey, and Ella Rogers, she was the captain of the Xavier team. I want to say they won like 18 games. That was a good team. And we said we don't do captains. You're not going to come in and save our program, but I do think we can put you in a spot to score more goals than you have. That will both benefit us and help you in your draft status.
Yeah, and you mentioned, obviously, a couple of the transfers. You have a good freshman class. Obviously, you and I have talked about Anaya Robinson, at length for a bit now. I guess, can you just talk about the freshmen you've brought in, how they've kind of adapted to college soccer life? Obviously, it's a big adaptation, just speaking from my own little bit of experience as well. But can you just talk about how the freshmen have kind of come in and kind of adapted to their new surroundings?
Yeah, again, it's the same. I mean, we're looking for something very specific. We're not telling those incoming kids how awesome they are. We're saying, hey, here's how we're going to make you better. Here's how we're going to help you grow. And a lot of times, like, look at even Kennedy Ball and Bella last year. Like, they started some games, but there's obviously adjustment. They're super talented. And it was the same with Anaya. Like, Anaya is good enough to start. Will she? I don't know. She knows doing that if she does. But she also has some older players that she can look up to and grow from and learn from their experience who have kind of been in her shoes. Honestly, you got both keepers got a super bright future. They'll both compete for time this year. You talked about Anaya Robinson. You got Jalen Brownlee, who, won a couple national championships on the club team. She's going to, compete to get some time. You got Kendall Ewert, who broke every record in Kansas scoring. She's got a ton of pace, but obviously that's a transition for her, right? You got Lily Boyston, who was a Colorado Player of the Year. And, they're coming in and this is they're used to being the best players on their team and they're not. And this is helping them grow. And we just kind of help them manage the roller coaster of emotions. Hey, I'm used to having a ton of success and I'm coming here and wow, everyone's really good. What does that look like and how does that help me grow?
Colby, you've won 4 of the last 5 SEC championships. What do you need to do to put yourself in position to challenge for that again this year?
So one thing we've talked about is we talk about winning unabashedly. We talk about winning national championships, winning conference championships. Like, we're not afraid to talk of that. We are talking a little bit more about the process this year and just making sure we're focused on getting better. Our teams historically have had to, play down to the level every once in a while. Like, hey, we're good, but we have these games circled. We got to if we're going to win a national championship, we got to take every day as a growth opportunity, no matter who we're playing, no matter what the score is, no matter what the training session is. We have to get better because we need to peak at the end. So the process is something we're talking about quite a bit, making sure we're sharp on set pieces. And, we beat a good Kansas team 5-1. We were not taking a second to pat ourselves on the back. It's like, okay, where are our holes? How do we get better? What are we not good at? What do we focus on this week? So hopefully we can be better against Kansas State.
30 seconds. You've got exhibitions this week against Kansas State up there, and then you come back and you play Seminole College on your field. What do you want to see?
we're going to get people, we're going to stretch out their minutes a little bit. Everyone played 45. We got 2 games in 3 days. So we're going to stretch out their minutes a little bit. We're going to try to get everyone to about 60, 75 minutes. Make sure we're testing their fitness. And then, we need to clean up the defensive sets. I thought on defensive corners we were very good. Attacking corners we were pretty good. But the defensive and attacking free kicks were horrendous. And so we got to clean that way up. Some of the run-of-play stuff, finding the weak side player a little bit more, not getting stuck on one side. Run-of-play attacks, getting our outside mids higher. Backs have to snuff stuff out way quicker. A little more composure in the ball in the attacking half. I mean, pretty much everything, if I'm being honest. I mean, we're 4 days in, right? We're not really going to be good at anything. But those are some of the things that we've targeted.
Colby, we appreciate your time. Sorry for the technical problem, and we'll see you soon.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. Colby Hale, the Arkansas soccer coach. The Razorbacks ranked 16th in the preseason coaches poll. They've got 2 more exhibition games, and then they start the season against JBU next Thursday. Anthony, 10 seconds. What's your outlook for this team?
They look good, as he said. Obviously, there's some things to clean up, which that's always going to be the way things go this early. But attacking wise, they're great in the air. They've got players who can run in behind. Great, really good off ball movement at times as well. So especially in attack, they should be looking all right.
Well, we appreciate Colby Hale. We appreciate you being here, Anthony. We are going to have Alyssa Orange from Paris here in just a moment to talk about the Olympics. We'll be back in just a second.
At Kindle King, we're proud of over 4 decades of design. We're continuing the legacy of great creative design by combining our brands of Kindle King, Soapbox, and Shopcart. Together, these brands represent a new focus in marketing design, with individual attention to specific areas. Through our design expertise supported by a team of talented professionals, we showcase our best. We are Kindle King, we are Soapbox, we are Shopcart, we are design.
And we're back. We appreciate you being with us today, bearing with us through a few technical glitches that we've had. I want to tell you that our show is brought to you in part by Bentonville Glass. Since 1971, been serving the Bentonville community. Committed, professional, versatile. If you're looking for a quality leader in Northwest Arkansas and looking for skilled craftsmanship, Bentonville Glass is your place. Choose them for all your glass market needs with the highest quality products. You can find them at 507 South Main in Bentonville or online at bentonvilleglass.com. Olympics obviously still taking up so much of our focus right now in Arkansas, with so many different athletes, whether they be current, former, some volunteer coaches are over in Paris on the track side. Alyssa Orange is there. Alyssa is the sports anchor for the local NBC affiliates here in Arkansas, KARK and KNWA. She's over there covering the Olympics, though, for Nexstar. Alyssa, we appreciate you being here. How are you doing?
Yeah. Hey, I'm doing well. It's about 6:30, 5:30 here in Paris right now.
We've been having all kinds of technical issues today, so it's crazy that we're talking to you from Paris, and that's what's working the best for us. But how did you get this assignment? So, and kind of explain people what you're doing, because what I think you're doing is you're basically kind of you're the person who's there on the ground for all of the Nexstar affiliates across the country.
Yeah, there's 6 of us here, and that's exactly what we're doing. So all of us work at NBC stations across the country. We have someone from Austin, Tampa, Virginia Beach, Columbus, and Grand Rapids. And so we're here basically collecting content, talking to athletes, putting stories together that are NBC stations, and there's about 32 of them across the country in the Nexstar umbrella, and they'll be able to share our content. We've also got non-NBCs, and there's so many rules. We're doing stuff with them too. Like I just did something with KTLA in Los Angeles and News Nation and DC. That is a little bit more broader. But it's been a fun assignment. I was lucky enough to be picked on this team, a little bit of an interview process for it. But I've done those 2 Super Bowls a couple of years ago for the company. So I have a little bit of experience in this realm, but it's really cool to be able to kind of step out of my Razorback bubble and cover something that's so known worldwide. It's been really, really fun for me.
Is this your first time in Paris?
Yes. Yeah.
What have been your impressions?
It's a beautiful city. I 100% understand that, one, a lot of the Parisians vacation and take holiday at this time, and then probably are already out of town, and they're putting their best foot forward for everyone for the Olympics. But the people have been awesome and nice. The transportation has been easy. It's just breathtaking, the architecture. And, I found myself the other day, because we Uber right past the Arc de Triomphe down the street every day. And I caught myself like not even looking out the window anymore because I've been here for 2.5 weeks. And it's like, wait a second, like appreciate where you are. It's still okay. Don't get used to it.
Have you eaten a baguette?
I have eaten a lot of bread, a lot of croissants. I have found the best bread pudding I've ever had in my life down the street. So I have to get it again before I leave. But the bread here just hits at a different level.
How long are you there? Like
I
from
come
the
back
time that you
Monday.
got there until the time that you leave?
Yeah, so I got here July 21st.
Wow.
Well, landed, I guess, on the ground July 22nd, technically. And then I leave Monday night, and I'll land back in Fayetteville at midnight on Monday. So, and then I got to take my kid to open house at elementary school, right? On Tuesday, right?
We'll be there too, Alyssa.
Yes.
We'll
We'll see how awake I am.
My son is hoping your son is going to be in his class this year. That's been discussed
Fingers
at our house.
crossed.
So what sports have you focused on most? Or has it been, is it one of those deals where you're at the event, or are you kind of in a holding area trying to watch everything so that you can cover everything?
Yeah, so there's a mix zone. It's weird. It's not like press boxes where we can sit and watch and then they talk to the athletes afterwards. There's this area of a mix zone where all the cameras are set up, and then the athletes, specifically swimming, when they're done with their event, they have to come through the mix zone to get back to the locker rooms or whatever, and then they'll stop and talk to you if they feel like talking to you or not. At swimming, we couldn't see. There was a barrier behind us. At track, we've got a perfect look at the track. And we're right there at the finish line. And so, last night I wasn't there, but when Gabby Douglas crossed the finish line, and then she goes up these stairs through all of these cameras, and then she goes back down and then back inside. So track has been really cool because we can see. Gymnastics has been cool because they don't talk until it's all over. So you do get to sit and enjoy it a little bit. I've also been over to 3x3 basketball, which you don't have time to do anything because those games are like 15 minutes long and then they're done. And so that was a cool place to be over there as well. I've also gotten to go to beach volleyball, which is just phenomenal. And the breathtaking view of that venue at the base of the Eiffel Tower. And that's where you get to sit and watch too, and then talk to the athletes after the match is over. I am here with someone who has covered his 13th Olympic Games now in Paris. And he says this is the best venue he's ever been to.
How concentrated is everything? Because, sometimes at the Olympics, you've always got the Olympic Village, but how spread out is this? Is this all right within a few square miles, or are you traveling a bit?
Yeah, most of it is. I can get on the metro and be down to the Eiffel Tower in about 5 minutes. We're going down to the Tuileries Gardens where the balloon is, the cauldron balloon that they lit at opening ceremonies after this. And that's probably going to take me 15 minutes to get to. I have to get on a bus to get down to Stade de France for track and field. And then same thing at La Défense where swimming was. I haven't been out to Versailles because that's like 45 minutes. And then golf is an additional 15 minutes out there because I'd have made it to the golf course if I could. Yeah. And so it kind of depends on what you're going to see. But for the most part, if you're down there where there's the Grand Palais and the La Concorde and the Louvre, and they've got a couple events right there, I mean, you could probably catch about 6 things and walk half a mile.
Olympics or Super Bowl? What do you prefer?
Ooh, probably the Olympics.
Why?
There's just so many things to do and see. And I think for the Super Bowl, it was a concentrated event. Where this is just one thing after another, and you're seeing something new every single day. And even if it's fencing, or wrestling or archery, there's something new and fun to discover every day. It's been great.
How many Americans are there?
I think they have about 650 athletes, was the number I think the USOPC gave us. And so that's been pretty cool. Not all of them are here at the same time. Because I think a lot of the track and field athletes got here a little bit later, where swimming was the very first thing, which, by the way, they're switching next summer games in LA. They're going to do track and field first and swimming last, which I think that's interesting. And but it's been cool, and there's a lot of fans walking around with American flags, and that's what's been neat too, because these games haven't had fans for the last 2 cycles, were the winter and the summer, because of COVID.
Mhm.
So everyone is almost kind of experiencing the Olympics for the very first time again, and this is my first time, and I don't know anything other than this. But it's cool to hear people talk about just how different it feels compared to the
Even
last couple of years.
favorite event you've covered so far?
Ooh, the answer is beach volleyball. I mean, it's
Okay.
just incredible. It's like a party, and I mean, I hopped into a conga line that they were doing around the stadium, and okay, for real talk, I did it because Tom Brady was on the other side of the venue, and I'd have been able to walk by Tom Brady. And I'm a Dolphins fan; I don't even like him, but I was like, I'm gonna jump in the conga line and see how close I can get. So I did, and it was fun.
Have you been to see USA basketball?
I haven't. Man, that's one I have not been able to get to because I'm at the track
Okay.
a lot these past couple days, because
Okay.
Arkansas has a lot of athletes. It's funny. People are like, "How many do you have?" And I'm like 30. There's 30
Yeah.
of them.
Yep.
But I haven't made it basketball. I'm gonna see if I can try to make it to the gold medal game on Saturday or Sunday. I think it's Sunday. I don't know what day it is, Matt, to be honest with you. But
It's coming up.
yeah, it's in the next couple of days. So
Well,
I'm gonna see if I can get down there.
the Americans could end up playing the French in the gold medal game. You've got France and Germany in one semifinal. You've got USA against Serbia in the other. That would be quite the atmosphere, at least, if
Yeah,
the Americans end up playing the French on their home soil.
Oh yeah. No, it does not get louder in any of these arenas than it does when there is a Frenchman or woman competing. I was at swimming a few times when Leon Marchand was competing. Holy cow.
Mm.
So I can only imagine what it's going to be like if it's USA versus France in the finals in that one.
So let's talk about the Razorbacks who are over there, because Bob Holt wrote this the other day. You're talking about the number. I think he said there were 31. He's calling them Team Arkansas, and that's
That's a good
people who have either competed here or who have coached here. Like a Ryan Krauser, he competed at Texas, but he's been here in Fayetteville and Farmington for quite a few years now. They're having a good run. Out of that Team Arkansas, 5 have medaled so far, including Wayne Pinnock yesterday in the long jump. Do they recognize you, and what's it been like, covering these people who you cover here at home so many thousands of miles away?
Well, it's really great to see familiar faces. And what's been really awesome is before track and field started, I've been able to have such a good relationship with Coach Gepfert, who's now the head coach at Kansas State, but longtime assistant at Arkansas. Got to go over to the practice facility and see a lot of these athletes practicing and say hello to them. Talk to guys like Jaden Hibbert and Romaine Beckford and Wayne Pinnock. Carl Lewis is out there coaching. Chris Johnson was out there coaching his athletes, because even I think he's got 8 or 9 athletes out here that he's coaching. Travis is coaching 8. So got to see them a little bit. But then when they go through the mix zone, for example, after Kaylin and Shamir set that world record in the 4x400, of course, Kaylin's coming off her freshman year, and Shamir Little, an example of an Aggie who is now an assistant coach for Arkansas.
Right.
They came over to me and they're like, "Oh, she's Arkansas. We're talking to her." And like that, because I'm in a long line of media, right? And then after the 4x400 final, Amber Anning came right over to me and we were talking, and then she gave me a hug afterwards. And so it's been really cool to have those relationships that we've built over the years with these Arkansas athletes, now getting to see them compete for their countries. And even if they're competing for the United States, or like Amber's competing for Great Britain, and Wayne with Jamaica, and even Shafiqua Maloney for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's been really cool to see all of these athletes that we've watched as Razorbacks. So
you were in the stadium when that 1600 relay team set the world record, right?
Oh, it was nuts. Yes, it was so loud. And I think Kaylin did. I asked her, I said, "Kaylin, what did you think when you saw you hit a world record?" She's like, "I'm tired."
Yeah.
Somebody, like, well, okay, I get that, but enjoy it. So, man, that was really, really cool.
Shamir Little ran up to her and gave her a huge hug. And Shamir Little, I think she ran the leadoff leg, or maybe the second leg.
So
she'd gotten her breath back, and Kaylin, she wasn't interested in that one. She'd hit the fish.
No,
People would ask.
She almost looked shocked, like she didn't really know what had just happened. She was just like, "Wait a minute, what did I just do again?"
Well, you try running 400 meters in 49 seconds and see how you feel
Yeah.
once you get to the finish line.
Right. Well, and that's why it's so funny with these mix zones. It's like, can you imagine you have to run that? You've just basically exerted all your energy. And then you're being told, hi, I'm going to need you to walk up this ramp and up these steps and through all of this crowd of media and then back down these steps. So you can imagine some of them are in a good mood. Others are like, I don't want to talk to you.
So you went to the Today Show and interviewed the host. What was that experience like?
That was really cool. Bucket list for sure. I've been watching the Today Show for a long time, going back to high school. And so to sit on a couch with Hoda and Al and Savannah and Craig, which I jokingly told Craig, I love your wife. She's she's awesome. But that was really neat. And they were so sweet and wonderful. And I've been walking around with like a little doll, like a little Belle doll and a fin, and I can grab them out of my backpack if you want me to. So my kids gave me these little things to take with me so that Finn and Bella could be here with me. And I've been taking pictures with them around Paris when I'm out. So I got to put them on the set of the Today Show, and Savannah gave them a shout out, which was really sweet. And then they called the Hawgs, which I really appreciate because it's one, if you've never done it, it's an experience. Diehard South Carolina fan Craig got him to do it, so that was awesome. And I hope I did it okay. We don't really call the Hogs often, so
no.
Great experience with it too. But I think I did okay.
So you mentioned this in addition to the local affiliates for Nexstar, you've got News Nation, which is this for people our age. If you're growing up, it was WGN. That's where we would watch Michael Jordan and Frank Thomas and Harry Carey and Matlock reruns. But they've kind of become a 24-hour news channel. It's giving you kind of a national, even more so than just being in the local affiliates. It's giving you a national flair there.
Yeah, that's been really cool. And you don't really think about it until afterwards. You're like, holy cow, my grandparents in Damascus, Maryland could have watched me. You know what I mean? And so that's been really neat to have that kind of exposure, which is the opportunity that I think these projects give people, is the opportunity to interact with people across the country and be on that national level, which I think is a career bucket list for a lot of people. But it's been really fun. And we're doing these hits outside of the Arc de Triomphe, which is gorgeous.
So when you get back next week, how much downtime do you take before you hit Razorback football practice?
So I have a mandatory 5 days off.
Oh, wow.
Like I have to, according to the company. I got to take 5 days off. And so my official day back is August 20th. But then I took my birthday off, which is the 21st. So I might get back over to practice on the 20th or 22nd. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Well, Alyssa, we appreciate you
Thanks.
joining us, and have safe travels on your way home.
I was going to share one thing with you. I thought this is cool. So pin collecting is a thing. Have you seen, I don't have a Snoop Dogg pin.
Okay.
But have you seen the Snoop Dogg pin?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I guess he made these pins because everyone has Olympic pins. That's like him, and he has a thing of smoke, and it's like the smoke rings are the Olympic rings. It's like everyone's trying to get the Snoop Dogg pin.
Okay.
But pin trading is a thing that we're doing. And so I have Arkansas pins that I've been trading. This is my Arkansas pin that I've been trading with a whole bunch of other people. And so I have, like, that's Zambia and Latvia, Mexico. I have a Poland one. I got a Wendy's one from a guy in a BYU shirt, which is pretty neat. It's gotten heavy, so I've had to take some off. But there's the Frege. That's kind of the mascot. Tara Davis Woodhull's parents gave me her pin. But this one's my favorite. I actually randomly saw Dawn Staley on the street, so I gave her an Arkansas pin, and she gave me this presidential delegation pin from the United States. So it's been pretty cool.
Hopefully that makes it through security.
Yeah, we'll see. This one is a honker. I had to take this one off. It like spins. It's very heavy.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Matt.
Safe travels. Alyssa Orange from KNW covering the Olympics for Nexstar, News Nation, many affiliates over in Paris. And we appreciate you being with us today. Sorry for the technical issues that we had earlier in the show. Glad Colby Hale was able to come on and talk about his Arkansas soccer team. If you want to read more about Arkansas soccer, you can read Anthony's work over at wholehogsports.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Brandon Marcello, a national college football reporter for 24/7, will actually be here in studio with us. We also expect to have Tom Murphy from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette in to talk about Razorback football. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.